Have you seen the bomb Dawn Staley dropped about Caitlin Clark? Yeah, it looks like even those in charge are recognizing the mistake of leaving this beast out of the Olympics.
Caitlin is just a rookie in the WNBA. Wasn't playing bad, but wasn't playing like she's playing now. Do it all over again, the way that she's playing, she would be in really high consideration of making the team because...
Wow, that's what I call stating the obvious, right? That's why we're gonna unpack this statement, because there's a lot more behind it than meets the eye. First off, who's Dawn Staley? Just for context, she's not a nobody in basketball. Staley's a member of the USA Women's Team Selection Committee and has a respectable resume as both a player and coach. When someone of her caliber says if we had to do it all over again, it's clear there's some regret in the air. It's practically a disguised "it's my fault." Staley's saying between the lines, look, we messed up. Clark is playing out of her mind and we should have considered her more seriously. But let's get to the crux of the statement. She is playing above a lot of people. Folks, this isn't just a light compliment. In the diplomatic world of professional sports, this is quite a statement. Staley's basically admitting that Clark not only deserved a spot, but she's on another level compared to some who were selected. And here's where it gets interesting, the timing of this statement. Why say this now? Is it media pressure, fans, or is it Clark's absurd performance in the WNBA that's making everyone rethink their choices? The fact is, Staley's statement isn't just about Clark. It's an acknowledgement that the selection process can have flaws, that sometimes politics and tradition can overshadow pure talent and current performance. It's a reminder that in sports, as in life, sometimes we need to be flexible and admit when we're wrong. And more than that, this statement sets an interesting precedent. If a player like Clark, a rookie, can make the selection committee rethink their choices, this could change the dynamics of future selections. It could give more space to emerging talents. It could make current performance way more than history. In the end, Staley's statement is a recognition of the obvious for anyone following the WNBA closely, but it's also a sign that things might be changing behind the scenes in American women's basketball. And folks, that's super exciting because it means the future of the sport is opening up to new talents, new possibilities. And that's what we're seeing this year. Clark arrived leading in almost every important statistical category. Points, assists, steals, blocks, shooting percentage, three-pointers, free throws. The list goes on. She had a game with 24 points and 19 assists. That shocked even NBA stars. But Clark's impact goes far beyond statistics. She's changing the way people see the WNBA. Remember the All-Star game? It hit a record audience with 3.44 million viewers. And guess who was one of the big reasons for that? That's right, our girl Caitlin. Her evolution as a player is out of this world. She came to the WNBA already as a college basketball star, but the way she adapted to the professional game is impressive. Clark didn't just maintain her level of play, she elevated it. She's playing like a veteran, reading the game, creating opportunities for her teammates, and of course, scoring points like there's no tomorrow. And maybe that's why Clark's absence from the Olympic team left fans angry. Folks, this is still generating more debate than a championship final. The selection committee, especially Reeve, has been facing a storm of criticism, and let's face it, it's not for nothing. Let's look at the facts. The team's performance in the WNBA All-Star Game was, to say the least, disappointing. They gave up more than 60 points in the paint. This raised serious questions about player choices. It's hard not to think that the committee made a colossal mistake. We have a player who's redefining what's possible for a WNBA rookie, and she's not on the Olympic team. How do you explain that? Some argue that lack of experience could be a factor, but let's be honest, what Clark is showing on the court surpasses any concerns about experience. She's playing like the WNBA is her backyard. The most ironic thing is that this absence from the Olympic team might end up being a blessing in disguise for Clark. Think about it. While other players will be wearing themselves out at the Olympics, she'll have time to rest, train, and come back even stronger for the rest of the season. Who knows? Maybe we'll see her reaching 30 points per game. With Clark, nothing seems impossible. The message Clark is sending is clear. Age and experience are important, but talent and hard work can overcome all that. She's rewriting the rules of the game, and we have the privilege of watching it all in real time. And since we talked about Caitlin maintaining an average of 30 points per game, it's worth remembering that only 2 players have managed to maintain such an average for an entire season: Diana Taurasi in 2006 and Liz Cambage in 2018. So yeah, we're talking about quite a feat. But Clark isn't just any player, right? She's already among the top scorers in the league, and that's as a rookie. What's most impressive is that she doesn't seem intimidated by the level of play in the WNBA at all. On the contrary, it looks like she came in hungry for the game. In the first half of the season, Clark has already shown that she can explode for very high-scoring games. She's already had a few games passing 25 points. But what could lead Clark to reach this absurd mark of 30 points per game? Well, there are a few factors that could contribute. Rest. Since she didn't go to the Olympics, she'll have more time to recover and train. This could result in an even more explosive second half of the season. Adaptation. The more she plays, the more she understands the league's rhythm. Imagine when she's fully adapted. Team confidence. The Indiana Fever has already understood that they have a superstar on their hands. It's likely that the offense will become increasingly centered on her. Versatility. Clark doesn't rely on just one type of play to score. She scores from 3 in the paint in transition. This makes life very difficult for defenses. Winner's mentality. Clark plays as if every game were a final. This mentality could very well lead her to stratospheric numbers. Of course, reaching 30 points per game isn't easy. Defenses will adjust. There will be double teaming. But if anyone can overcome this, that someone is Caitlin. And the most incredible thing is that even if she doesn't reach exactly 30 points, the fact that we're having this conversation already shows the absurd impact she's having. We're talking about a rookie potentially breaking records that have existed for years. In the end, whether it's 25, 28, or 30 points per game, what Clark is doing is historic. She's redefining what we expect from a rookie, what we expect from a point guard, what we expect from women's basketball as a whole. Maybe after all this happens, Cheryl Reeve's stance towards Caitlin will change. Because after that impressive Clark victory against the Minnesota Lynx, the team coached by Reeve, the coach refused to answer questions about the rookie's performance. Folks, this is the sports equivalent of pretending the sun doesn't exist on a 104-degree day. Reeve's attitude raised many eyebrows, and rightly so. After all, we're talking about one of the most exciting players the league has ever seen. Her reluctance to recognize Clark's talent seems at the very least out of touch with the moment the WNBA is experiencing. But let's go beyond the surface. Reeve isn't just the Lynx coach, she's also part of the Team USA selection committee. Could her reluctance to talk about Clark have to do with the controversial decision to leave her off the Olympic team? The most ironic thing is that while Reeve tries to ignore the elephant in the room, the rest of the basketball world can't stop talking about Clark. The WNBA is experiencing a moment of incredible growth, and much of this is due to the buzz generated by players like Clark. So the question that remains is, how long can she ignore Clark's impact? Because whether she wants it or not, the rookie is becoming the face of a new era in the WNBA, an era of greater visibility, greater interest, and potentially greater growth for the league. In the end, Reeve's reluctance to recognize Clark may end up saying more about her than about the player. Think about it, we have a rookie who's turning the league upside down, making veterans and coaches rethink everything they thought they knew about basketball. We have a player who's not only dominating on the court, but is also changing the way people view and consume women's basketball. What's coming next? Will we see Clark breaking historical records? Will she be able to maintain this insane rhythm throughout the season? And what happens when she really reaches her peak? Man, it gives me chills just thinking about it. And it's not just about Clark. Her impact is opening doors for a whole new generation of players. She's showing that it's possible to arrive and dominate from day one. This will inspire many girls to dream big, to believe they can be the next WNBA superstars. What do you all think about all this? Do you also think Dawn Staley regretted not calling up Caitlin? Tell me in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click on the next video.